Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report.
And welcome everybody to my Independence Report. I hope that you're having a good day, because I am. This is a great day to be alive in America, and I just want to share that with you to begin with, and also talk a little bit about what we are doing here. Just hanging around here on my Independence Report. We have decided that we are going to go, because of technology and how technology has changed over time. Let me give you a little bit of background about that. When I first started wanting to do broadcasting, it was 2002, and in those days there was no such thing called the internet. You couldn't really do anything on the internet, and so a friend of mine wanted to do a show called Spirit Talk. We wanted to talk about spiritual things and talk to people that were mediums, and about meditation and about living your life a little bit more authentically and a little bit more real, if you will. And so we started doing Spirit Talk on a station called KLAY in Tacoma on Tuesdays and Thursdays nights from 7 to 9. Fell in love with the medium of doing radio, and fell in love with the idea of being able to express myself and to provide a forum to express other people and their what they were interested in, things like authors and other folks that really had a positive message. The idea being to have a positive message. Now, if you remember in 2002, going back that far, that was just before the Iraq War started. It was right after 9/11, and there was a lot of issues and a lot of hate, division, and fear in those days. Well, hate, division, and fear has reared its ugly head again, and with what's going on today, and we need to stop it and to really have an opportunity to make our world and our planet a better place for all of us to be. And so way back when in 2002, the only thing that you could do was to go onto radio and to do what was called block programming, where you buy an hour at a time, and then you build the program that you want to build, and then you sell the advertising. The station charges you, you charge the advertisers, everybody's happy, provided that the advertisers you can get advertising and stuff, which ended up being a bit of a problem. But overall, the technology was such that you had to go to do a radio station. And in fact, when I started doing KLAY, I got these little cassette tapes of the show, and it wasn't even digitalized. It wasn't MP3 format or anything like that. It was just these little cassette tapes that I would have to go and transpose to try and get it on the computer. Podcasting was not available then, and there was nothing that was available then. Well, over the course of the last 20 years, when I started doing Spirit Talk, which eventually became Positive Talk Radio on KKNW 1150 AM, and I did that for a year, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. We had the opportunity to talk to some really outstanding people, and some of those broadcasts I brought forward over the course of time, and they are on my Independence Report. And so I hope you'll take the time to go to my Independence Report. Just Google it and it'll show up, and we're on all the major platforms, and I've got over 180 downloads of those broadcasts. And so we now have the ability, starting today, we have the ability to do live streaming on multiple platforms and take calls and talk to people about what they're interested in. And so I'm putting together a lineup of incredible people that you're going to want to pay attention to. Now I've got a schedule that I put onto my Independence Report which is myindependencereport.podbean.com, and you can go there and you can look at the schedule to see what I've scheduled out. We're gonna, like I said, we are gonna go noon, and then as long as it takes to do what we want to do that day, and it could be 45 minutes, could be an hour, could be 30 minutes, it could be something like that. And I've got different folks that are going to be coming along to give us some of their insights as to what they do. And in fact, I'll be putting through here different aspects of what we are going to do, and I'm going to start that in just a couple of moments. But first, what I want to start with, and I'm going to do this every day that we're on the air until the COVID problem is over, and I have the ability to share screens. So what I'm going to do is share my screen right now so that you can see where we are at with the COVID-19 virus, so let me do that real quick and share that. That's what I wanted to share. Now, if you look at the numbers, which is on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see that in King County, Washington, which is where this broadcast is originating from, there have been 68,801 confirmed cases with 1,107 dead. Washington in total, 276,000 cases with 3,776 people dead. Now, I'll share with you the number that is really striking and scary, and that is, now keep in mind that this number is a rolling average that is updated throughout the day. Now, this is done by Johns Hopkins University, and this is as of 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, or it says local, so we'll say it's Pacific time. Today, just today, 105,432 cases have been confirmed for today, and 749 people who were alive this morning are no longer alive now. And 300, this number is just amazing to me, 377,270 people have died since, I believe the first person to die was in March of last year. And so that number is really huge, and it's growing all the time. And that is, we need to look at that, because there are still people in our country, believe it or not, there are still people in our country who believe that the COVID virus is a hoax, or it's not real, or it's not deadly, or it doesn't hurt you, or you're going to be fine because you're young. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. So I implore you, please, and I'm going to do this every day until we're done with this, so you're going to get sick of it, but I hope not, because it really is important that everybody follow through and wear a mask, keep your distance, don't go to large gatherings, stay home whenever you can, and only be with the people that you live with whenever possible. And because Dr. Fauci, among others, has said that this thing is mutating, it's growing, it's getting worse, not better. We still haven't had the spike that we're going to have from Christmas and New Year's yet. That's coming in the following week or two. And so it's important that everybody believe that it's real, follow through that it's real, and listen to their doctor and to the CDC, which is the major organization that the disease control organization that keeps us all safe. And you can do it. We can do it. It's not pleasant, I grant you, but I tell you what, we'll be here every day at noon for you, so you can participate and spend time with us. And I'll turn the comments on now. Well, no, I'm going to do something else first, and then I'll turn the comments on. I want to talk a little bit more about My Independence Report and what we're going to be doing, and the people that are involved with it. that I think that you will find that they are just extraordinary human beings. We've got several shows that we are going to be featuring during my Independence Report, and I'm going to run through those shows and when they're on and what you're liable to hear in those shows. It really is pretty outstanding. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is actually going to be doing a live show this afternoon at 4 o'clock Pacific. That show features Natasha Venter and Regan Forston, and they are a couple of remarkable people, and the show is called Life Between Lives. And that's kind of a double meaning there, because we do talk a lot about what happens after we die, what to expect, and how our lives are continue on after we die. But also life between lives of how we interact with each other and how we work to really do something positive for each other and ourselves as we move forward through this really intense time. And this week is going to be horribly intense, I'm afraid. And as we go through the week, I will do my best to keep you updated on some of the issues that are happening with the government and with the folks that are talking about doing some more protests on the 17th, which would be, what's that, Friday? I think that's Friday or Saturday. And so we need to pay attention to those folks. And in a little bit, after I get done talking about the shows that we have upcoming on my Independence Report, we're going to talk a little bit about QAnon. I don't know if you know about QAnon, but I discovered it a couple years ago, and I need to talk to you about it. So given that, now the first show that we're going to talk about, that happens tonight, starting at 4 p.m. Pacific, and here's just a little snippet of what you can expect, or just the I guess the teaser would be a better way to put it. So take a listen to this.
Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my Independence Report.
It stars Natasha Venter, and who is a psychic medium and a life coach. She also has another show that we do here that is called Life Clarifications, and that's on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. And I host both of them. Well, I'm eminently involved with everything that's on this channel, so I hope that you will take the time to watch this afternoon. We are going to be talking about life between lives and our lives together and how we interact with each other, I believe, is what we decided to talk about. But as always, as you will find out, what we talk about changes, because one thing leads to another, and that's just by design. And so it works out really perfectly well that way. So I hope that you'll take the time to listen to that. Again, that's 4 p.m. every Monday, Life Between Lives with Natasha Venter and Regan Forston, who's a hypnotherapist. And he's an interesting fella, because he's about 70 now, and he's been working with hypnotherapy for a long time. And what attracted me to him so much was his work with Dr. Michael Newton, who he's passed on now, sadly. But he was a hypnotherapist that worked with people and put them into deep hypnosis, so that not only could they go to a past life and review a past life, they could also go to basically go to heaven and see what that is like on that side. And it's remarkable the number of stories that have been out there and how many of them are very, very similar to one another. And it's not In matter of fact, 95% of them are virtually identical. And so that led me to believe way back when in 2001 that was I read both of his books, which were Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. I highly recommend them. Please pick them up. If you go to My Independence Report, you'll see them under recommended reading, and that would be great fun if you wanted to do that. So that happens today at 4 p.m. Now, the next show that I'm really excited about happens tomorrow, and that is with I can't get him. Coriel Kramer is doing that show with me, and it's called Conversations with Coriel. Coriel is a animal intuitive and a psychic medium as well, and also is a life coach. And she goes really in depth on a lot of topics, and so we are going to talk about a bunch of stuff. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me have her tell you what we're going to talk about.
So what is Conversations with Coriel all about? It's a weekly series on a wide variety of topics, from the metaphysical to the philosophical, from the erotic to the exotic, from the mystical to the spiritual. It's all about showing you how to enhance your life. And I'll also be showing you ways on how you can enhance your animals' lives too. I'll be joined by host Kevin McDonald. I'm happy to have you here. Now let's have a conversation.
That's going to be Conversations with Coriel, and it's really going to be a lot of fun to do. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. This week, we're going to talk about consent in all of its forms, which is a lot of people don't know really when you're talking about consent what that really means. But we're going to talk about that in depth. So that is tomorrow at noon. So she is. We're taking we're taking the show to Conversations with Coriel at noon tomorrow. Then that's part of My Independence Report, and we're going to do that, and that'll be live tomorrow at noon. Now that one's going to run a little bit longer probably, and stuff. So really stay tuned for what we've got coming up on Thursday and Friday. We've got a great show. Well, I've got a good show for you again at noon on Wednesday. My guest is going to be Eric Hall, who is an author and a really is an interesting fella, and I think that you'll really enjoy him. By the way, I wanted to mention, if you would like to participate with us and join my little entourage of talented people, and we can create a show around you as well. If you want to do that, just go to myindependencereport@gmail.com, and you'll be able to talk with people, or you'll talk to me, and if we come to terms, we'll put a show together for you, or you can become a regular contributor to My Independence Report. And we have all kinds of folks that we are going to be. Like I said, I've interviewed literally hundreds and hundreds of positively motivated spiritual people, coaches, mediums, psychics, you name, people who teach meditation, people that do a lot of different things, and we'll be doing all of that. And so if you'd like to join that, again, just go to myindependencereport@gmail.com, drop me a line, and we'll put something together for you. All right? So now the next show that I want to highlight that we're bringing to the airwaves is on Wednesday, also at 4 o'clock. So right now we're Monday through Friday from noon till whenever, and on Monday and Wednesday at 4 o'clock. So you'll be able to catch us, and those will all be live. They'll all be on Facebook, all be on YouTube, and my Independence Report will have an audio version for the podcast. So all of those things will be there for you, and we will, and so you can stay in touch, and you can get some really interesting, uplifting messages from us to you. So now the next one I want to talk about is Natasha Venter, who is a psychic medium and a life coach, and she's a regular on both my show and Martha Norwalk's Animal World, which is heard on KKNW 1150 AM on the third Sunday of the month. I believe she's doing that show, and that's from 9 until noon. So I encourage you to check that out as well. And but let me play you her opening, and so you can get an idea and get a little flavor of what that show's about.
Life can be so challenging. Where can you go to get divine clarification, help, and advice? Well, may I introduce Natasha Venter, medium, coach, and direct connection to your guides and angels. Through her podcast, Life Clarifications, Natasha will help you navigate through and create your life's destiny. My name is Kevin McDonald, co-host of this podcast, and I've seen her work and know that through her incredible talent, you can be changed forever. So let's start another episode of Life Clarifications with Natasha.
And so that will be Wednesday at 4 p.m. And that generally will run an hour, maybe a little longer. And we talk about life clarifications and what that means to Natasha. She's a very gifted lady, and we encourage you to call in during those shows. And in fact, if you want to drop me a line, you can do that by just going into the chat section and dropping me in a line there, which would be great fun. So I'm looking forward to all of this. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope that over time that you will see that what we're after is to create something great. As you know, or don't, hate, division, and fear are what's driving our country right now. And we obviously recently had an election, and 75 million people voted for the candidate who is about hate, division, and fear. And so, consequently, as bizarre as that may sound, that there are lots and lots of people in our culture right now who are not, we're almost divided. We're divided greatly by people that are angry, and they're fearful. They're fearful of the changing demographics in our country. They're changing. They're scared of the fact that the opportunities that they think they once had are going away. That jobs are not as relevant and that they pay less and their lives are in jeopardy, and so they're very angry. And we want to try and help people understand that. But where did it all come from? Well, a couple years ago, when I was looking at doing podcasting, I decided to put a podcast together and produce a podcast from a gal. Her name is Amy Satori. And she is also a medium and a channeler and stuff to some degree. She plays more with tarot cards these days than anything else. But I wanted to work with her because I'd known her for years. And she was actually trying to do something positive for the planet. And so we got together and started doing this podcast. And we decided at one point that we were going to do a podcast about politics and what was going on in the world right then. And then that's when I discovered that there is such a division that is mind-boggling to me, and I don't understand it. So I'm going to lay this out here, what happened that day, because we did this podcast, and we were talking about Trump, and we were talking about what he was trying to do, and we had a caller on the line, and this particular caller started talking about Q. I had no idea what Q meant. All I knew was that they were talking about, you know, this Q thing, and there were people that they were listening to who were backing up what this was. Now, this is worse than a dime store novel, because you wouldn't believe it if somebody were to tell you that, all right, here's the deal. We're going to create a movement based upon hate, division, and fear, and the movement is going to be about about a cabal. They call it a cabal, which is a deep state of political people, actors, people that are in power, and the deep state is revolves around pedophiles and a pedophile ring. And these pedophiles, they take children and they drink their blood, and that's what keeps them in power. And they all, by the way, just happen to be Democrats. All of them are, and which amazes me all by itself. And so we get into talking about this, and see, I was under the impression that do you remember way back when before the 2016 election, that this tape came out, this Hollywood Access tape, and you could hear Trump talking about women and how he demeaned them and what he did with them and what they would let him do to them because he was famous. Do you remember? If you don't remember that, Google it. It'll come up, and if you haven't seen it, it will kind of shock you, because I listened to it and I was amazed that people would actually continue to support, especially the evangelical movement and the Christians in my mother, who is one and also is a supporter of him. I could not believe that, given the fact that he'd been married 3 times, which in and of itself isn't a bad thing, but he'd been married 3 times. He also had a couple of affairs, at least a couple of affairs, that we know about, that he that he paid them off rather than being around them, or rather than them taking their story public. And also the National Enquirer, that was buying stories to bury them, which is also, so people, they would buy stories, bury them, and then these people had to sign non-disclosure agreements, so that in order to get their money and not get sued, they couldn't talk about it anymore. So you had, and you know, the 3 marriage thing. You had the way he talked on Hollywood, on the Hollywood Access tape. You had the mistresses that he had and stuff, and it just amazed me that women would still want to vote for this fellow, and because and with the excuse being that, oh, it's just locker room talk. Well, I'm sorry, but in my mind, in my world, that is highly, highly offensive to someone like me. I played football in high school. I wrestled. I played baseball. I was in the gym every day. I was in the locker room every day. I went to a school that had what was called at that time an open concept, and so you only so much of your time was in class, and all the rest of it was spent in the gym, and of course in the locker room. And in those days, this is back in the 70s, where everybody was required to take showers and stuff as well, and stuff. And I never heard, not once did I ever hear somebody talk to anybody like Trump talked to that reporter on Access Hollywood. Yet there were people that were saying that it was just locker room talk. It was not locker room talk. That was real. That was the man and who he was. But so many people, including Q and QAnon, which is what it is now, have determined that that they're going to follow him. And that's the other part, was that Trump was, in their conspiracy theory, Trump was trying to save humanity from the cabal. Because the cabal was trying to run the entire world and take the entire world down, and Trump was standing up against them. So these people that are going to protest on the 17th and are Trump supporters believe that they're doing the right thing, and that they're doing an act of God, because Trump is a good guy, and they're working to save humanity through Trump. And so that's part of our problem, is it's very hard when you have two different philosophies and they both think that they're right, and they both think that that it's important for them to do what they're doing. Which is why last Wednesday, we had this. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it real time. It was really rather frightening. And the tapes that have come out since of that there were people in that crowd that were going to kidnap members of Congress. There were people in there that were chanting "Hang Mike" or hang Vice President Pence. They even had a gallows that they brought with them, that with a hangman's noose, because they were quite literally going to. That was as close as we have ever seen to a revolution in this country. And it has to stop, but we all have to work together to get it to stop and understand where it's coming from. And it's coming from these people that support Trump because they think that he is going to save them from the dastardly cabal that is hurting people. They have to know, though, that that's just not so. That they're being told a lie. Not that Trump has ever told a lie before, but it's a lie. So I am hopeful that we can get through the next 10 days and that Biden takes over, Trump goes away, but I'm afraid that this week is going to be, last week and this week are one for the ages, one for the history books. And I hate to see it, but that's just kind of the way it goes. So we're just going to have to buckle down and do the best we can. So with that, I'm going to let you go, and this is our first broadcast. Tomorrow, Coriel Kramer is going to be with me for the entire time, and we are going to have a great time. It really is fun when we get together, and I hope that you'll take the time to watch the show this afternoon at 4. That again will be live, and it'll be on your YouTube channel, or on my YouTube channel, which is My Independence Report, as well as Facebook on several platforms. So I hope that you'll take the time to hang out with us, and if you want to give us a call, there'll be a number that'll be live that you can call in and stuff. So I'm really hopeful that you'll do that. So given that, as I like to say, please be kind to one another and take care of yourself. Wear a mask. Stay indoors. I know it's a pain, but it is what it is. So please take care of yourself. And you have yourself a wonderful afternoon, and be kind to one another. I appreciate it. Take care, everybody.